Hey folks, hope you're all doing well and welcome to episode 42 of Recommend an Album to Review. Alright, so for this week I've got a band that I'd heard of before, never listened to any of their music. I mean, maybe I heard stuff in passing, but never really listened to a record all the way through. But I never really took a deep dive. And the band I'm talking about is the Struts, and the record I'm going to be talking about is Young and Dangerous, which came out in 2018. So the band consists of Luke Spiller, he's the singer, main songwriter, Adam Slack, the guitar player, also part of the songwriting team. Then you've got Jed Elliott on bass and Gethin Davies on the drums. Now, what struck me in taking a deep dive, and I only listened to the one record, so this may not be true for the rest of their albums, but in listening to this record, I was kind of taken aback by it being so poppy. Like, it's a very pop record. The production on it is really, really slick. I mean, it's slick. You know, you may even say overproduced. Like, it's just produced like a hit-making venture. You know, like all these songs they just want to be on the radio. They just want to be on the radio. And the band is guitar, bass, and drums, right? And a singer. But you don't really hear, like, you would think, oh, you know, it's just going to be a hard driving band with, you know, big drums. There's none of that. The guitar sometimes, a lot of times, doesn't even sound like a guitar. It's got a lot of effects and things going on. You know, the drums, I mean, there's a lot of drum machine stuff and sampling going on in here. You know, all this sort of trappings of what would be, you know, modern day pop music are on this. So the look of the band, you know, and the look of the band, if you're not familiar, I mean, they're really going after that sort of 70s rock star thing, you know. The singer's got really, you know, looks a lot like Freddie Mercury, and he's got the flamboyant outfits and the rest of it. They're all kind of going for that 70s vibe, and so you're expecting to hear that kind of, you know, like just a hard driving kind of bluesy rock band, but they're not, at least on this record. Super poppy. I mean, it's like, think of bands like Maroon 5, right? With maybe a little rockier version of that, but not even really that much rockier. Or, I don't know, like slick sounding like Bruno Mars, like that type of vibe, right? I'm not saying the music is terrible, but it's very radio oriented music. It's like, you know, let's use all the current production values and try to get this stuff on the radio. That's the vibe I got from this record. So, but anyway, let's go through the tracks. All right, the first track here is Body Talks, and once I listened to it, yeah, I probably heard that in the past and probably thought it was the Black Keys, because it's got a lot of a Black Keys vibe to it. A real hooky, you know, the riff is hooky, the chorus, everything. I mean, it's a pretty good song, you know, for start. So, you know, good way to start the record, Body Talks. All right, Prima Donna Like Me is a second song. This is a pretty good song. It's very catchy. It's hooky. The chorus is killer. I mean, these guys do know how to write a good pop song, and I mean, they're 2 for 2 so far. Yeah, another catchy track. All right, In Love with the Camera is a third track. This reminds me a lot of The Darkness, with, you know, less heavy guitar. The Darkness, you know, they're famous for always having their grindy guitars in most of their songs, but, you know, witty, you know, lyrics, you know, great songwriting again. But yeah, this one's got some Darkness trappings in it, and I am a fan of the Darkness, so there you go. And you got Bulletproof Baby. Yeah, this one's got a lot of production stuff going on. Maybe, you know, the drums don't sound like real drums. You know, not that that's a bad thing. I mean, that's kind of the sound they were going for. They got the big sort of chant chorus, you know, a lot of layers of voices, you know, the big chorus, you know, it's really using this one in particular is really using a lot of those, as I said, those modern day trappings, production trappings to get stuff on the radio. Um, it's not a bad song, Bulletproof Baby, not bad. All right, they got a Who Am I? This one's kind of cool. It's got a nice groove to it, a nice bass groove to it. There is some guitars prominent on this one, so I really dig the guitar playing on this. Adam Slack, his parts throughout this whole record are pretty cool, but I really like that he's sort of forward and the guitar sounds like a guitar on this one. But yeah, I mean, just another fantastic song, hooky as hell, very well written, and yeah, great tune. All right, then you got People. This has got a lot of production going on here. It's good. Does have a great guitar solo in it. There's a lot of layers. When I keep going on about production, I'm just talking about the extra layers and some of the sounds that they're using all throughout this record. Um, and they make good use of it. I mean, all the songs sound great. They all sound like they should be on the radio, and yeah, and People's pretty good, and I do really like the guitar solo on it. Fire, um, part part one. Yeah, this is a good up tempo song. You know, strip away some of the production, it would be like a really good, quick, heavy rocker, like up tempo rocker. But again, all the production kind of, you know, sort of tames it a little bit, you know, because again, that's what you need to do, I guess, to get played on the radio. But it's a pretty good song. Yeah, this one is very, very 80s. Very 80s. Then you got Somebody New. So the acoustic guitar comes out for this one. It's kind of mellow, but it has the big build up and the big, anthemic chorus with all the vocals. Again, all these songs are all hooky and they're all very well written songs. Yeah, Something New is it's one of the better ones for me anyway on this record. Tatler Magazine. This is a really cool one. This one reminds me of something that would have come out, you know, um early 70s, like glam rock kind of vibe to it, thinking like something that would have been, I don't know, maybe Sweet, would have done something like this, kind of a Fox on the Run type of vibe to it. Yeah, this one I do dig. It's a good, great track. God, I Do It So Well. This one reminds me of a Smash Mouth tune from like, the early 90s. Again, just a really, a hooky track. Not one of my favorites on here, but yeah, I think Smash Mouth, I can't remember the name of their song. I think they have one or two hits, but it's that kind of vibe. Freak Like You, it's got really good lyrics. It's, not a lot happening in the verses, and then the big chorus. All these songs have the big chorus that kind of explodes at you. Yeah, it's okay. Freak Like You, not bad. Ashes Part 2. This one I get a total Queen vibe from. It's a pretty good track. Yeah, it's got a lot of sort of musical moments that really remind me of Queen. Great track. The last track is the first track, Body Talks, but it's featuring a co-vocal with some female artist named Keisha, who I've never heard of, but yeah, it's just a reworking of the opening track. So what do I think about this record? Well, if you accept it as just being a pop record and and get away from, thinking it's going to be a straight rock record, which is kind of, again, the image and the music, they don't really go together, at least for me. But I mean, that aside, listening to the record on its own, I mean, it's a fun record. There are more hooks and you can shake a stick at. Like every song on here, could be a hit. It's kind of like that. It's all got the makings, of a big radio hit, with the big hooky choruses and the instrumentation, and they're using, like I said earlier, all the trappings of music that that you would expect to hear on the radio. So I don't fault it for that. If you just take it for what it is, which is just a really good pop record. Yeah, that's really what it is. It's just a really good pop record. I mean, it'd be like listening to a Pink, an album by Pink, like, one of her records with now the, the more recent stuff with guitars. It's that kind of thing. It's that kind of vibe. So if you're cool with that, then you'll be cool with this. And, what would I rank it out of 5? I don't know, maybe 3.5 to 4. Depends on what mood I'm in. If I want to hear heavy guitars, I'm not going to grab this. If I want to hear anything bluesy, I'm not going to grab this. This would be just a really good thing to put on in the background. If you're, having a get together or a party, just good tunes. Just good sounding tunes all the way throughout. So there you go. So I want to thank the subscriber that suggested this. Again, this was the the Struts, Young and Dangerous. Thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. And we'll catch you next Thursday at 7 p.m. for episode, I guess, 43 of Recommend an Album to Review. Cheers.